I remember the exact moment I stopped being just Matthew Griffin and became someone who lived in two different skins. I was 15 years old. My mother had left her bedroom door open while she went downstairs to answer the phone. The afternoon light came through the window and touched everything in that room with a kind of golden softness that made ordinary things look magical. Her vanity table held bottles and compacts and tubes of color. Her closet door stood half open. Inside hung dresses and blouses in fabrics that seemed to whisper when the air moved. I walked in slowly. My heart beat faster with each step. I did not understand what pulled me forward, but I could not stop moving toward that closet. My small hand reached out and touched a blue dress. The fabric felt cool and smooth under my fingers. It was nothing like my rough jeans and cotton shirts. This was different. This was something that belonged to a world I was not supposed to enter. But I wanted to. I took the dress off the hanger. It was too big for me, but I held it against my body anyway. I looked at myself in the full-length mirror on the closet door. For a moment I saw someone else looking back. Someone who felt right in a way I could not explain. Then I heard my mother's footsteps on the stairs and I hung the dress back up quickly. My hands shook as I left the room. That moment planted a seed inside me. Over the years it grew in the dark places where I kept my secrets. It grew while I played baseball with the neighborhood boys. It grew while I learned to talk in the deeper voice that other boys used. It grew while I dated girls in high school and pretended I was just like everyone else. The seed grew into something I could not ignore. When I was 17, I tried on my sister Emily's earrings while everyone was out of the house. The small clips pressed against my earlobes, and when I looked in the bathroom mirror, I felt that same flutter in my chest I had felt years before. I took them off before anyone came home, but I thought about them for days afterward. At 18th, I found a pair of my mother's heels in the back of her closet. They were black with a modest heel and a strap across the top. I waited until late at night when everyone was asleep. I locked my bedroom door and slipped them on. They were too big, but I stuffed tissue in the toes. I stood in front of my mirror and felt my posture change. My back straightened. My hips shifted. I felt taller and also more vulnerable. I felt seen even though I was completely alone. I wore them for 10 minutes before the fear became too strong. I put them back exactly where I found them. These moments came in fragments over the years. Each time I felt alive in a way that my normal life never allowed. Each time I also felt the crushing weight of shame afterward. I learned to lock doors. I learned to listen for footsteps. I learned to hide. By the time I was 25, I had become very good at hiding. I met Sarah Johnson at a coffee shop in downtown Portland. She had brown hair that fell past her shoulders and green eyes that crinkled when she smiled. She worked as a teacher at an elementary school, and she talked about her students with genuine warmth. She was kind. She was patient. She laughed at my jokes even when they were not very funny. I fell in love with her because she made me feel normal. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. She said yes without hesitation. We got married at a small church with our families and friends watching. She wore a white dress that made her look radiant. I wore a black suit and I smiled for the photographs. Everyone said we looked perfect together. We moved into a small house on Birch Road. It had 2 bedrooms and a backyard with an oak tree. Sarah planted flowers in the front garden. I mowed the lawn every Saturday. We had dinners with our parents on Sundays. We talked about having children someday. From the outside, we had built the perfect life. But inside, I was still carrying that seed that had been growing since I was 12 years old. It had grown into something too large to ignore. At night when Sarah was asleep, I would lie awake and feel it pressing against my chest. During the day, I would see women walking down the street in dresses and skirts, and I would feel that familiar ache. I tried to bury it deeper. I threw myself into work. I coached a youth soccer team. I went to the gym. I did everything I could to be the man everyone expected me to be. It did not work. 3 years into our marriage, I started cross-dressing again. I did it carefully. I did it in secret. I waited until Sarah went to visit her sister Jessica on weekends. Then I would go to a thrift store 2 towns over where no one knew me. I bought a dress. Plain and simple. Navy blue with short sleeves. Size medium. I paid in cash. I brought it home and hid it in the back of my closet behind old jackets and boxes. The first time I wore it, I stood in our bedroom and my hands trembled as I pulled it over my head. The fabric settled over my body and I smoothed it down over my hips. I looked at myself in the mirror and felt that same recognition I had felt as a child. This was me. This version of me was real. I wore it for an hour. Then I took it off and hid it again. Over the next year, I bought more clothes. A black skirt. A white blouse. Pantyhose. A bra that I stuffed with socks. Red heels that actually fit my feet. Each item felt like a small piece of freedom. Each item also felt like a betrayal of the life I had built with Sarah. I told myself I would stop. I told myself it was just a phase. I told myself I could control it. I was lying to myself. One Saturday afternoon, Sarah called me from her sister's house. Her voice sounded tired. Jessica is having a bad day. I think I am going to stay here tonight and come back tomorrow morning. Is that okay? Of course. Take your time. Tell Jessica I hope she feels better. Thanks, Matthew. I love you. I love you too. I hung up the phone and immediately felt the pull. I had the whole night. I could do more than just put on a dress. I could become her. The version of myself I kept hidden. I went upstairs and locked the bedroom door, even though I was alone in the house. I opened the closet and took out everything I had collected. The clothes. The shoes. The small makeup kit I had bought months ago and barely used. I started with a shower. I shaved my legs for the first time. The razor moved slowly over my skin, and I watched the hair wash away down the drain. My legs looked different afterward. Smoother. More delicate. I ran my hands over them and felt a strange mixture of excitement and fear. I dried off and went to the bedroom. I laid everything out on the bed like I was preparing for a ceremony. Black lace panties. Matching bra. Sheer pantyhose. A sleeveless red dress that I had bought 2 weeks ago and had not yet worn. I put on the panties first. They fit snugly against my body and I felt my breathing quicken. Then the bra stuffed with socks to create curves that nature had not given me. Then the pantyhose pulled carefully up my smooth legs. Each layer felt like shedding the person I pretended to be during the day. I stepped into the red dress and pulled it up over my body. It was tighter than the others. It hugged my waist and hips. I zipped it up in the back with some difficulty. Then I slipped on the heels and stood up carefully. My balance shifted. I took a few tentative steps and felt the unfamiliar click of heels on hardwood. I walked to the full-length mirror. The person looking back at me was not quite Matthew Griffin. She was someone else. Someone who had been living inside me for 32 years waiting to be seen. Her reflection was imperfect. The dress did not fit perfectly. The stuffed bra was obviously fake up close. Her face was still masculine despite the light makeup I had applied with a shaking hand. But she was real. I stood there for a long time just looking. My eyes filled with tears, but I did not understand if they were tears of joy or sadness. Maybe both. I felt a kind of wholeness I had never experienced before. I also felt the crushing weight of knowing I could not keep her. I walked around the bedroom. I practiced moving in the heels. I sat down on the edge of the bed and crossed my legs the way I had seen women do. I stood at the window and looked out at our quiet street. A neighbor walked their dog. A car drove past. The world continued as normal while I stood there transformed. What happened after I opened that door is something I can't reveal here, but you don't have to stop with just this preview. The complete and uncensored story is available in the book on Amazon. You'll find the link in the description and pinned comment. Hope to see you inside.